to turn left till you get to the river. Well, they're kind of like the rural routes, and they sort of like supersede all of the addressed postal code systems. Now, the postal code system is the whole world, like the commercial world, is all under contract with the UPU, which is based in Switzerland, and they hold the overriding contract for the whole world.
UPU, isn't
it? The Universal Postal Union, yeah. And what it basically is that the post must get through. That's the priority, because they have the contract and they can't breach that contract, because if they seem to breach the contract, then they're in a lot of trouble. But the rural routes, if you know how to set your metes and bounds, is anyone familiar with that term? Metes and bounds? It's basically like how a surveyor would survey the land, because oftentimes they would have land to look at, but they wouldn't really have much sort of like you go down such and such a street and then you come to an avenue and it's all like that. They do it like in
triangulation.
That's how they would view it through the viewfinder. Like, no, this is more to do with the like you've got chained.
GPS?
Sorry?
How does that sit with GPS?
The metes and bounds?
Yeah, if you happen to know where there's something which falls between the cracks and it's here, you've now got GPS and you're just supposed to say it's here to wherever.
Yeah. Out for the
and those things are prevalent because they exist in common law, they exist in all sorts of things. But we have new ways of communicating them, I think.
Okay.
That's just, I'm just sat here with a mobile phone which has got this which has got Google Maps and I'm like, wow.
Well, maybe
pinprick. Wow, cool.
maybe I'm not too sure how the UPU system's set up, but I know that people in America are doing this. They're setting up their own metes and bounds whereby they're translating to the UPU that they're not in this commercial arena where the post has to get through. That it's nothing to do with them, it's to do with the nations who the UPU deal with. For example, United Kingdom, Ireland, France, they're all sort of United Nations recognised states, but not specifically the countries. So how the metes and bounds are measured is in sticks. There's a particular stick that they use, and it's about 6 metres long, and they used to lay it out, and that's how they would get.
Yardstick.
Rod pole or perch.
No,
Rod poles and perches, but I wouldn't know which one it was.
I think it's the perch, actually.
Perch, is it? Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Is that
it
the
is.
same out in the sticks? Is that what it means?
Type thing, yeah, it's getting along them routes, like, yeah.
Matt?
Yeah, it's uncharted. Yeah. Well, what's a charter? You've got like bank charters. You've got charters, of commerce. That's how like chartered accountants, chartered surveyors. They're all the things that sort of like give give the authority for for them bodies to act upon, like, and then you get like businesses joining that chartered group, and then they can perform in commerce. So I was reading about it before about charters, but basically the metes and bounds is more about the land, the substantial rather than the fictional. So the fictional United Kingdom, as opposed to England and Wales, which would be the places of substance. Yeah, so people have been setting their metes and bounds, and they've been sending the documents to the UPU, bringing them out of the postal code system. Now they're in substance, like, and their jurisdiction is now out of statute. It's kind of like purely in common law with some equity to be claimed. So we have to know.
On your metes and bounds, does it have to be a descriptive direction to the land?
I'm not
can you actually
completely
use,
sure.
Coordinates.
That's what.
Yeah, because by merely using the postcode, I'm then submitting myself to what they recognise as being the legal land, or the legal location.
Yeah.
You can just use a street name, I mean, it's just the
No,
postcode.
you could use like a river, and then like so many of these sticks, like 6 sticks up.
Alright.
There's a tree, and then where I dwell, is, you know, opposite the tree, and if you live in the flats, you'd have to add in some. I think you'd have to call it a dominion. That's where my dominion is.
Letters can get through there, post can get through there.
Well,
Well, you
if
shout at
you
the
want
cows, they
them.
listen to you. You know, where the chickens lay eggs for you. That's your dominion.
Do you see the separation?
Yeah, no, I understand what you mean.
Yeah. So it's kind of like what we're aiming to do is to utilise our strawman as vehicles in commerce. So we're basically setting it up as a corporation. So we have to know how to recognise ourselves as people, and who we need to go to get that recognised by the ones who are, you know, running the commerce. Like,
Can I just ask the question? So
Yeah.
are you not actually just taking their language and converting it into common law language?
well, I tell you what, 70% of English is French. So you tell me.
Is there a proportion of that then, which is part of the 206 trillion, or is this beyond the 206 trillion, which is actually England and Wales, which I believe is worth more than 206
Well,
trillion?
the 206 trillion, I think, is just the annual turnover. Yeah.
But what world is that in?
Commercial,
Commercial.
fictional.
So
Yeah.
what, can we say this part is actually doing this service to that, should be worth this, by your own
Estimation.
measures?
Yeah.
And yeah, we'll go away with that, and that's cool. We'll swim in here. Is the resource-based economy something? That's one kind of reason.
Is it what?
Resource-based economy is one thing that I seem to be
Well,
similar.
I see the word economy as eco no money.
Well, that's it. You don't need no money. You need resource-based.
Yeah.
All kings and kings.
Exactly.
So when you set up these areas defined by the real land,
Yeah.
so you've said like people are looking to claim equity,
Yeah.
and that equity could be used if there was a few people in a community. That equity then could be used not for the individual so much, but to serve the needs of that community.
But you'd have to recognise that, like, as a trust.
Yes, it will.
Yeah. So
I
you'd
didn't
have
know
to
about
give
that.
notice of the trust, but you wouldn't necessarily have to give the details of what was pertaining to the trust.
Not that I'm going to do anything particularly per se, it's just getting it clear in my own
Sure.
head, so just to carry on
Yeah.
talking about it like that will
Yeah.
make it clear for me.
Yeah. Yeah. The meets and bounds is you know, it's the dust and the earth, like.
Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
real. As
It's
opposed
real,
to the unreal.
yeah. So you're doing your own survey, and you're letting the UPU know that here's your survey, because apparently all of the land stuff is all surveyed, and that's how you get your cities. You know, Liverpool is not necessarily a place as such, but it's a title of an area which has been surveyed under these meets and bounds by these people who've surveyed it, and you've never given your survey back to them to say, well, you know, that part of Liverpool, what you claim belongs to me, or I'm a part of, is not strictly true, because here's my survey that I've done.
But there's good intellectual property in being, you know, from Liverpool and being a Scousman, to identify with that reality of that, rather than anything that's just written down because of Liverpool being a corporated part.
A lot of the fictions, well, in fact, all of the fiction stuff can only be seen when it is written.
It's owned by the culture. That's that.
Based on conduct. Yeah. Yeah, so it's more substantive. So in the event, say, like a mortgage, for example, you know, you go along to the bank and you want to buy a house, but is it the house that you're buying when you buy a mortgage? It probably may not be. More than likely isn't, because the bank never really had any money to give you. You never actually received the money, and you can actually go into the house anyway, or someone's living in the house, and let me think now.